I think we need to start doing something now about it, because our future generation is not going to know the history of this community.
The community was a black community that was the center of the white community that surrounded it. And the white community that surrounded it was where those who lived in the black community worked.
Well, they tore down the best thing was the old three-room schoolhouse across the street. But it's gone, and we don't have it anymore. Then it was the community house, as I said, next to the church. It's gone.
It's just nice. And you can't go a lot of places and say this. You know, you got a little prejudice and whatever everywhere, but I don't even recall of none of that, because it was always black and white out here. And that's what I love about it.
I was contacted by Professor Eam to assist in the documentation and structural assessments of some of the community buildings within the Montgomery neighborhood. My students have been down there several times doing field documentation as well as structural assessment reports. The Montgomery community is located off of Shipyard Road and Whitfield Avenue in Chatham County. The Montgomery community is a mixture of African American folk vernacular homes and older vacation homes for people that lived in town.
I've been working with different members of the community out there. There's been a lot of interest over the past several years of seeing the community center be listed on the Chatham County Register of Historic Places. There's a process involved with that, and it has to have community and property owner support. And so I've been working with the community on their application form and doing some history and some research on the area, and generally trying to get greater community involvement and support for the project.
I remember growing up, there were no street lights, and you just sit out on the front porch in the dark and just feel the fresh air and the outsideness of being away from the city life. And Savannah wasn't a big city, but it was still a city compared to this.
Since my father had a store here, most of them traded with my father.
I remember going also into the stores, like Allison's Grocery. That was sort of a big deal, and you kind of peeked over the counter and, got whatever it was you wanted.
There was no difference between the white or the African American in the store. They traded with him, and he respected each one of them as they come into the door, everyone.
We was always integrated out here. It was always black and white. It's good living, and we didn't never worry about anything. The river was there. If we got hungry, at least we'd get a fish. Everybody lived together. It's just a beautiful place to be.
And I become good friends with them, and I grew up with a lot of them. We did play together, and we never thought nothing about segregation out here.
Typically, many people in the Montgomery neighborhood, the African American population, did work as servants and laborers for some of the larger houses in Montgomery.
My grandfather was a cook and driver for a white family down the road, as we called it. He called it the other end. And he worked for almost 50 years for a woman that we called Miss Mary.
Montgomery has been able to have a fantastic balance of different racial and ethnic groups that reside in Montgomery, and they all seem to get along pretty well.